Awesome. That was amazing. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, brothers and sisters, and thank you all for being here. I'm so happy to be here for the grand finale of the NorCal Carpenters Union Tax Fraud Days of Action 2024. And what a place to finish this national event, our state capitol, where all the laws are made that are protecting the working rights of people in California. All across the country and Canada, our sister and brother carpenters are taking a stand to fight against criminal contractors whose business model is to steal money from hardworking people and line their own pockets with the wages those workers earned. Cheating on their taxes and workers' comp insurance premiums, all to steal work from that fair contractor who is doing the right thing. And it's all of us law-abiding citizens who pick up that tax burden. That's no good. It's no exaggeration to say that the non-union residential construction project is a crime scene. There's a culture of fear on these job sites. Workers fear retribution and losing their jobs. As bad as they are, they need that job to pay the bills. We see wage theft, cash pay, unsafe working conditions, and labor trafficking. Boom. Yeah, that's right. And let me tell you what I mean by labor trafficking. Workers are lured into this country with the promise of a better life, only to find themselves in insurmountable debt to the person who made all of those promises. They work long hours, only to find out at the end of the week that they owe this criminal for the food, the lodging, and they're still paying off the debt of being brought into the country. Yeah. Thank you. We have spoken to these trafficked workers, and the criminal contractors have them so scared of retribution being leveraged against their families back home, they don't know how to get out of a situation that amounts to modern-day slavery. We've got crowded apartments, hotel rooms, full of trafficked workers who have no idea there are people in this country who can and will help them get out of this situation. And some of those people willing to help stop these crimes are here today. That's right. Today we are making it clear to the criminals stealing and intimidating our sisters and brothers who aren't part of the union yet that we will no longer stand for this. It's no way to treat a human being. I mean, it makes me mad. Is anybody else angry about that? Yeah! That's right. So I'm very excited about our speakers today. All of them are committed to stopping these crimes and criminally prosecuting wage theft. It's the only crime of theft in which the criminal has an opportunity to negotiate with their victim and pay less money than they stole while walking away as if no crime was committed. You can't rob a bank and casually laugh when you are caught, only to repay what you feel like. This is not a deterrent when billions of dollars are stolen every year. But with the help of the NorCal Carpenters Union and our partners, we will make sure we're going to make a change to the way wage theft is handled. We have new laws like Penal Code 487M, which makes wage theft a felony. Our state legislator has made it possible for city and county prosecutors to enforce the labor code and even provided grant funding to these agencies. So now I'm going to introduce our speakers. All right. Senate President Pro Tempore Emeritus Tony G. Atkins was born and raised in rural Southwest Virginia. She's the daughter of a miner and a seamstress. Throughout her career, Atkins has been a champion for affordable housing, the environment, healthcare, veterans, women, the LGBTQ community, and mitigating the increasing impacts of climate change. She has authored landmark legislation in housing. She supported the Carpenters Bills the last 2 years. We're very grateful for that. And she's helped create permanent funds for affordable housing. Everyone, please give a big round of applause for.
Matthew, thank you so much. Good morning, Carpenters. It is so wonderful to welcome you back. I see you here often to your state capitol. I want to thank you for the introduction, and I want to say it's always an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Carpenters. I want to thank you for organizing this really important event to talk about an issue that needs urgent attention. We're here today because tax fraud and wage theft hurt everyone. Whether you realize it or not, it hurts everyone. It takes away from our workers, it takes away from their families, and it harms public programs that depend on those revenues. It shortchanges our schools. It undermines our ability to build more affordable housing and address homelessness, and it makes it harder to fund our first responders and law enforcement. That's no exaggeration. These are programs that are facing cutbacks due to our budget deficits. So tax fraud matters all the time, but it really matters when times are tough and our budget depends on these revenues. And right now, after tax day, I am day by day monitoring the revenues to see, are we going to be over? Are we going to balance? Are we going to be able to make up some of the deficit? So make no doubt about this, it matters to each and every one of us. Whether it's stifling workers at the end of a job day by not paying overtime, wage theft harms our communities by taking money out of the very pockets of workers and our families. The bottom line is everyone needs to play by the rules. Whether it's unscrupulous corporations that don't pay their taxes or contractors that don't pay their workers, everyone needs to pay the taxes and wages they owe, period. And the same holds true for those businesses and employers that operate in the underground economy. They make it harder for legitimate employers, as Matthew said, that play by the rules to compete for jobs and contracts. This is yet another reason why we need unions, strong unions, unions with members and leaders that are willing to come to Sacramento, as you do again and again, and to bring attention to issues like this. Unions ready to step up to protect your rights and your ability to organize, and that secure funding to go after bad actors. My parents were two of the hardest working people I ever knew. But we lived in a different state, and they didn't have the opportunity to join a union. We worked very hard to work our way out of poverty. And I know that had they had the opportunity to be part of a union, they would have done that. My family suffered because we weren't able to do that. You are making sure that doesn't happen here in California. And I would say, you ask, are people angry, Matthew? Hardworking families like yours being taken advantage of, it does infuriate me. It's not right. It's not right. And that's why I will always stand with you. I will always stand with labor, and I will continue to stand with labor. Look, thank you. I know what it means not to have this support. I grew up in that. I understand. And I've heard your stories about how this has impacted workers. These are real stories affecting real lives in our very communities, and it's unacceptable. And we are here to change that. We're going to recommit ourselves to fighting for better enforcement of our labor laws and more funding to combat tax fraud and wage theft. Thank you.
We say no to tax fraud. We say no to tax fraud. We say no to tax fraud.
Thank you very much for that. Our next speaker I'm really excited to have her here. This is our Labor Commissioner, Lilia Garcia-Brower. She was born and raised in East Los Angeles. She was appointed to Governor Newsom as the State Labor Commissioner on July 29, 2019, and we've been going full steam ahead ever since. She oversees the primary law enforcement agency for workplace protections. The Labor Commissioner's Office adjudicates a wide range of workplace violations, from unpaid wages to retaliation. I've had an opportunity to meet with Lilia. She's been amazing. She really wants to partner with the NorCal Carpenters Union. She is determined to help get wage theft prosecuted criminally, and she has shown that. And I mean, she's got years and years of experience. I could read you everything, but we'd be here till the next tax fraud days of action for sure. So I want to introduce my friend Lilia Garcia-Brower.
Good afternoon. Oh, no. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just on the tarmac too long. But I'm so happy to be here with you all. And indeed, I'm shocked there is a question that tax fraud is harmful to our society, that wage theft is harmful to our society, that premium fraud is harmful to our society. These are huge systemic violations that eat away at the stability hardworking people have fought for every single day. So just in case we're not clear about what we're talking about, tax fraud in California, we're talking about an $8.5 billion problem. We're talking about wage theft. Just in one county, one county, Los Angeles, $1.5 billion robbed every year. And that's an outdated number. On workers' comp premium fraud, over $15 billion throughout this state. So what happens? These are not isolated individual legal transactions. These is criminal activity. And so what happens to our hardworking individuals, to our working families, to law-abiding employers, to the public, that these laws are broken systematically every single day? It's a needle in a haystack. These are estimated figures. We really don't know how bad the problem is. What we do know for certain is that hardworking people are robbed every day. When they give their labor, invest their mind, heart, and body, as these hardworking professionals behind me invest in their jobs, and that labor is stolen. Their property is stolen from them as they are not paid the legal wages. We're talking individuals are misclassified as independent contractors. They're not paid legal wages, overtime, minimum wage. Could be employers on the tax fraud side. Employers make the deduction, but these unscrupulous employers pocket the money. And they rob from the much-needed public coffers. That's absolutely right. So let's be clear that in California, we understand the horrifying impact of these crimes on our communities, and my office absolutely has a duty to make sure that we not only respond to those complaints that come forward to us, but we have to go out and identify those criminal bad actors who are applying this as a business model. So let's get up talking about the solution. What is the solution? And you know what? You're part of that solution. I have to commend the Carpenters Union. There's a lot of unions. We know it's just a fraction of them. But there are few that actually invest in the non-union sector, invest in exposing those systematic violations and essentially lifting up non-union workers. So thank you. Thank you to the carpenters for investing holistically in your industry to protect these jobs for the hardworking families that absolutely need them. So we need collaborative enforcement. We need to work together across all agencies. We can't just see it as an isolated crime. Workers' comp premium fraud informs tax evasion. Wage theft informs workers' comp premium fraud and tax evasion. When a crook breaks one law, they likely are breaking all of them. So enforcement agencies have to collaborate. That's why we are excited about the investment of $18 million in a wage theft prosecution fund. And I commit to you that we are not just looking at the wage theft, we're looking at connecting to the tax evasion, to the workers' comp premium fraud. So we also need to be strategic and thoughtful about identifying those big cases. That's why the Northern California Carpenters Union, working with your LMCCs to make sure we're bringing forward those cases, I commit to continue to work hard. So thank you so much. In investing in us, we invest in you. And when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. Awesome. So now I'm going to introduce Chris Rogers. He's currently on the Santa Rosa City Council. Chris has been an ally for the Carpenters Union during his time in Santa Rosa by keeping the union representatives aware of what was happening on the council. He has always been there for us as a resource and a friend. He is running for California Assembly District 2, and there's no doubt that the relationship we have will grow at the state level. Please welcome Chris Rogers, candidate for California Assembly District 2.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the Carpenters for continuing to shine a light on tax fraud and wage theft. In Santa Rosa in 2017, after the Tubbs fire, we saw unscrupulous contractors come in that were not only screwing the folks who they were trying to rebuild homes for, but screwing the workers and pitting our workers who were trying to rebuild our community against folks who had lost everything. And the Carpenters stood with us and helped strengthen our wage theft ordinance to make sure our city attorney could go after those contractors and make sure that folks were able to rebuild and rebuild in a sustainable way, and that the workers who did it could afford to live in our community. So thank you. Tax fraud not only harms those who have been aggrieved, but it hurts our whole community. It steals quality of life from our local communities by robbing billions of dollars a year that should go towards our schools, our parks, and our roads. And wage theft robs our workers of a secure future for themselves and for their families. Without strong laws and strong enforcement, it's a race to the bottom, in which legitimate workers, legitimate businesses cannot compete because businesses that cheat the most see the most benefit. I'm proud to stand with you today to make sure we are calling for strong enforcement and strong laws so that those who are rebuilding California can afford to live in the Golden State and have a future here with their families. Thank you for having me.
We say no to tax fraud. We say no to tax fraud. We say no to tax fraud. Wage theft. We say no to wage theft. We say no to wage theft. We say no to wage theft. Human trafficking. We say no to human trafficking. We say no to human trafficking. We say no to human trafficking. What's this all about? Workers' rights. What's this all about? Workers' rights. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace.
Thank you. So our next speaker is a worker who we've been working with. He's worked at a Amazon Clayco project, and I'm really excited to hear, well, it's actually kind of messed up everything that's been going on, but I'm really excited for him that has the bravery to come up and speak and talk about what's going on with the workers, in California. Thank you. Let's give him
Muy buenos días, mi nombre es Jesús Pelayo. Muy buenos días, mi nombre es Jesús Pelayo. Yo he trabajado en la construcción por 25 años. Yo fui víctima de robo de sueldo el año pasado, 2021. Mientras estaba trabajando en la construcción del centro de distribución de Amazon cerca del aeropuerto de Sacramento.
Good morning. My name is Jesus Pelayo. I have been working in construction for 25 years. I was victim of wage theft in 2021 while I was working at the construction of the Amazon distribution center close to the Sacramento airport.
Cuando fui a pedir trabajo, me contrató José de la Luz, quien dijo ser la persona a cargo del drywall. En ese momento yo no sabía si tenía licencia o no. Ahora sé que era un coyote que venía de Texas.
When I went to the project looking for work, I got hired by Jose de la Luz, who said was the person in charge of drywall. At the moment, I didn't know if he had a license. Now I know he was a coyote from Texas.
José me contrató para trabajar por pieza y trabajaba de sol a sol, 12 horas al día por 2 meses.
Jose hired me under a piece rate agreement, and I worked from dusk to dawn, 12 hours a day for 2 months.
Cuando pedí mi primer pago, se me tardaron en darme el cheque. Mientras tanto, yo seguía trabajando. Yo no le pedí a José que me pagara por hora y no por contrato, pero no aceptó.
When I asked for my first payment, they took very long to pay me. In the meantime, I just kept working. I asked Jose to pay me by the hour and not by piece rate, but he just didn't accept.
Tardó varias semanas para pagarme por todo el trabajo que había completado. Al final me dio 2 cheques, eran personales y sin deducciones, y cuando fui al banco para cambiarlos, me dijeron que no tenían fondos.
They took very long to pay me for the work that I performed. And finally, when I received the 2 checks, they were personal checks with no deductions. When I went to the bank to cash those checks, they told me that they didn't have sufficient funds.
Inmediatamente empecé a buscar a José, le llamaba por teléfono y me mandaba mensaje y no me contestaba. Fui a buscarlo al proyecto y allí me encontré con más trabajadores que estaban en la misma situación que yo, tampoco les habían pagado.
Immediately right after I started to look for Jose, I called him by phone, I texted him, and he never replied. Also, I went to the project looking for him, and there I met with more workers that were in the same situation as me. They didn't get paid.
Entonces fui a la oficina de la Cleico, la compañía general, y ahí hablé con un representante de Cleico. Yo le dije que José no me había pagado, pero no me hicieron nada para ayudarme a recuperar mi salario.
Then I went to the Clayco's office, the general contractor. I talked to a Clayco's representative and told him that I worked there at that project and that Jose didn't pay me for my work, that I had 2 bounced checks. The Clayco representative told me that they knew about other workers, but they didn't do anything to help us to recover our stolen wages.
Shame on them!
Yo regresé al proyecto varias veces. Un día encontré a José y le dije que no me pagaba. José me dijo que tampoco a él le habían pagado y que por eso no me podía pagar, pero él me avisaba y nomás se desapareció. Creo que regresó a Texas.
I went back to the project many times. One time I found Jose there and I asked him to pay me. Jose told me that he didn't get paid either that he couldn't pay me and that they would let me know, and then he just disappeared. I think he just went back to Texas.
Después de eso acudí a la Unión de Carpinteros para pedir ayuda y recuperar mis salarios robados con la ayuda de la Unión de Carpinteros, caso junto con el de mis compañeros que también les robaron su salario.
Then I went to the Carpenters Union asking for help to recover my stolen wages. With the Carpenters Union's help, my case, along with my co-workers that were also victims of wage theft, was filed.
El caso sigue pendiente y continuamos esperando su resolución.
The case still going, and we're still waiting for a resolution.
Yo quiero aprovechar la oportunidad para pedirles el apoyo a las autoridades aquí presentes para que hagan responsables a esos contratistas que solo vienen a nuestro estado a explotar a nosotros, los trabajadores.
I would like to take this opportunity to ask the authorities present here to make those contractors accountable. Those contractors that only come to our state to exploit us, the workers, and steal our money.
A robarnos nuestro dinero, no respetan la ley, no pagan impuestos, no pagan aseguranza ni beneficios y después nomás se van con nuestro dinero.
They come to steal our money. They don't follow the law. They don't pay taxes. They don't pay workers' compensation insurance or benefits. And then they just leave with our money. Thank you.
Criminal! Shame on them!
Hey, thank you. So now you hear how these contractors are treating hardworking people here in California. What do you think about that?
Shame on them!
That's right.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
All right, our next speaker, James Gallagher, has represented California's 3rd Assembly District since 2014. Before joining the Assembly, he served on the Sutter County Board of Supervisors for 6 years. James has earned his Bachelor's of Arts at UC Berkeley before completing an Assembly Fellowship at Sacramento and a law degree at UC Davis, where he graduated top of his class. He advocates for small businesses and farmers in his law practice and is a partner in his family's farming operation. We want to thank you for being here. James Gallagher.
Well, good morning, NorCal Carpenters. It's truly an honor to be able to be with you guys today as we talk about and we make people aware of wage theft and tax fraud. And this whole idea of it's not only the law that you must pay your worker their wages, it's biblical. It's biblical. To the worker go the wages. And that's what we're talking about today is when there are frauds, when there are people cheating workers, there needs to be enforcement. And I want to express, my heartfelt gratitude to all of you, the men and women of the Carpenters, for your hard work, your dedication, and your advocacy within the carpentry industry in California. The construction industry stands as a pillar of our economy, driving growth, innovation, and progress. Your craftsmanship, your trade, not only constructs buildings, but also lays the foundation for vibrant communities, for families, for thriving businesses, and prosperous futures. But the threat to that is tax fraud, which continues to plague the industry. $8.4 billion in lost tax revenue nationwide every year. We need to ensure that, and that hurts everyone, by the way. That's money that doesn't go to resources like schools and roads, libraries, parks. This fraud can come in many different forms, from not paying workers' comp premium, misclassifying workers, and paying workers under the table. We need to ensure that there is strong enforcement against bad actors. I was proud actually to stand with members of the assembly to go after bad subs that weren't paying, that were not paying workers. And we heard that story just now, from one of your members. This is not right. So we need to ensure we have the enforcement, that we make people aware of this tax fraud situation that is going on, and that we ensure that there's standards of integrity. There's standards of integrity statewide. And so it's my honor to stand with you in solidarity today to commit to combating tax fraud and unfair competition. Together we will continue to fight and ensure that this underground economy, that those who are not playing by the rules, playing by the law, that has no place here in California. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm really happy to introduce Sacramento City Council member Caity Maple, representing District 5. She has spent her career fighting to bring neighborhood voices to the forefront and advocating for the policies that uplift all, not just some. During her professional career, Councilmember Maple has served in numerous community leadership and appointed positions, including serving as the vice president of the Oak Park Neighborhood Association, being appointed by Governor Jerry Brown to the 52nd Agricultural District, and serving as a founding board member to the organizations Women Up and the UC Davis Capital Alumni Group. And she is also a contributor to a local interest and policy blog, sacramentality.org. I want to thank you for being here, everyone. Caity Maple.
Good morning. How you doing? Wow, what an honor to be here today, standing in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in the NorCal Carpenters Union. I came here today I really wanted to speak from my heart. You see, I didn't come with any notes. There's a reason for that. I want to talk about my own personal story and how it relates to this work. As many of the other speakers already said, all of it is already out there. We know what needs to get done. We know the priorities that need to happen. We understand that we need to be investing in taking care of tax fraud and wage theft. But let me tell you about my story. I left home at 16 years old. I was incredibly low income, and I was homeless when I was younger at times. And I worked in the restaurant industry. It was my very first job, and I worked there for over 10 years. And I experienced wage theft while working in the restaurant industry and going to UC Davis. And so I showed up to work every day for a month, and they would give me a check, and then they would bounce it. And then I would go to the owner of the restaurant, and I would say, Are you gonna pay me my check? Oh yeah, I'll pay you next time. It got to the point after 3 checks that I went up to her and I said, should I even cash this? Because every single time I was also getting charged a fee from my bank because they bounced the check, not because of me. And she said, oh yes. And of course, it bounced every single time until finally, one day we walked into the restaurant and the entire staff walked out because they had not been paid. Shame, right? Shame. I was a completely broke college student. I was struggling to pay my rent, but that wasn't the worst part. I was working with a single mom who had 5 children. She couldn't feed her kids, right? This is people's real lives and their real experiences, right? This is your life. So what did I do? I organized all my coworkers and I said, let's go to the labor board. And some of them said, I'm not gonna do that. And I said, why? And they said, nothing's gonna happen. Unfortunately, they were right. We went to the labor board, we went through mediation. I even signed a settlement agreement with my employer because I was so desperate just to get a check, even though it was only gonna be half of what I was owed. And you know what happened? I never got paid. They never paid the settlement agreement. Then the labor board said, well, now you have to take them to small claims court. Well, it turns out that the owner of the restaurant happens to be an attorney too, and she would just completely scout any opportunity to serve with the paperwork. It has been 15 years, I've never been paid. But this isn't about me, right? Now that I'm serving as the vice mayor of the city of Sacramento, people like her never thought that people like me would get into these positions. right? And now we can hold them accountable, right? And so that's why I always encourage you, if you can, not just in your day job, but step up for these positions. Run for office, right? Because we need the voices of workers in these positions. We need the voices of workers in here. And so I am so proud to stand in solidarity with you today. We're going to keep fighting, and we're going to make sure that nobody has to go through these experiences that we heard today here, and like myself. And so glad to be with you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Who are we? Carpenters! Who are we? Carpenters! Who are we? Carpenters!
Right. I want to thank Caity for sharing her story. That's a story we hear all too often. That's workers, even when they win their case, only 17 workers actually see any of the money they win. And that's deplorable. I mean, that means 83% of the people that prevail are not getting paid after winning a case for wage theft. And that's that's why we're here today. That's why we're working with the labor commissioner. The labor commissioner started out doing what I do, doing what we do on the team, fighting for workers' rights and dealing with the labor commissioner's office. And now that she's there and has seen the things that we all see, she's the one really up there trying to make a change. And we're really excited. And the laws are changing. They're changing for the better. They're changing for the worker. And we're going to continue at the NorCal Carpenters with our partners to do that.
When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win!
Right on. So our next speaker, Rachel Hernandez, is a lifelong Stanislaus County resident and has committed her career and passion to the community. She is a communications professional in a nonprofit field and earned her bachelor's and master's degrees at Stanislaus State. For over 10 years, she has volunteered with various groups and organizations to build equity around underserved communities. Currently, she's serving on the board of directors for Boys and Girls Club, an advisory board for the Central Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and on various Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander advocacy groups. City Council member Rachel Hernandez from Riverbank, California.
Thank you so much. I'm so inspired being here today, and honestly, it's my first time speaking out about something that matters to us. And I'm looking at each of you because I see mis hermanos, mis hermanas, I see my siblings, I see my brothers and sisters being represented out here. And you know, local matters. I am a representative of a council of a city of about 25,000 people, and oftentimes we're overlooked, and unfortunately by the state as well. But people, our families trust us. We're the ones that they go to. You know, I have a city council member, but I have folks coming up to me asking me, you know, do you have an attorney I can speak to because I got hurt on the job, I'm not being paid, I don't know when I'm going to be able to return to work. But then again, like everyone else, they have families that they need to support. So I am inspired because it's our responsibility. We're choosing to take this on to protect our families and mine. So I'm a council member of the city of Riverbank. I'm running for mayor this year, just an hour away from here. I'm pretty excited. There's a narrative that people don't care about politics, and I'm seeing this every day play out in the campaign, but I want to, I think that's not true. I think people care, but we're paying attention to our livelihoods, to the inflation that's affecting us, and I'm committed to standing alongside you. My community that's 60% Latino, working class, for citizens of Riverbank and beyond. And so I'm excited to be here today to protect workers. I mean, we know 1 in 5 contractors are committing tax fraud, and we're choosing to carry this responsibility so that we're not continue to be misclassified, taken advantage of, and to ensure that, like we said before, that we're not falling into the trap of an underground economy. But thank you so much for allowing me to speak today, for teaching me how to stand up and how to advocate for my community too.
Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right! Pay the workers right!
Thank you for that. I do remember early in my career in labor compliance driving out to Riverbank to meet several workers who were victims of wage theft, and we did end up getting them paid, and it was a great case. So now I want to introduce Angel Moreno. He's representing the Office of California Attorney General Rob Bonta and is an external affairs specialist. He was born and raised in Fresno, California. He's the grandson of a union farm worker of the UFW, the son of union educators, and also a proud member of the newspaper guild in his first job out of college. Prior to serving the state of California, Angel worked as a communications director for the Fresno, Madera, Tulare Kings Central Labor Council, AFL-CIO, where he advocated for the rights of more than 100,000 union members and their families. Angel works closely with the Attorney General and his top advisors to protect and serve the people and interests of the state of California and further the rights of working Californians, renters, and immigrant families. Thank you for being here, Angel.
Thank you, Matt, for that introduction. And good morning, carpenters. Good morning. Thank you very much to the Northern California Carpenters for having me be here today. It's a beautiful day to stand up for workers. Together, we're standing up to tax fraud because when tax fraud happens, it hurts all of us. When contractors fail to pay proper employment taxes, when workers are paid under the table, when employees are misclassified, when union labor is left out of work, and when our schools, roads, and firefighters don't get funded with critical tax dollars, we all lose. That is wrong. Labor is entitled to all it creates. Employers should not be at a disadvantage because they pay their workers and your taxes. Competitors shouldn't be rewarded for tricking clients into paying for inflated change orders and using phantom subcontractors. We want the same things: good living wages, safe working conditions, fair competition, strong enforcement against those who try to cheat the system. That's why we're all here today. And that's what unions like the Northern California Carpenters have long stood up for. So thank you for being here. At California DOJ, we stand with workers, we stand with unions, and we stand with you. Attorney General Rob Bonta is in your corner, and he's ready to fight. Just recently, he announced a settlement agreement against Amalfi Stone and Masonry for failing to pay their employees their wages and misclassifying workers. Another suit happened in Southern California with West Coast Drywall. Thank you to the Carpenters Compliance Team for sending that over to the DOJ because we were able to take them down and enforce them for cheating out their workers. So just know that the Attorney General and the state of California and our wonderful representatives and leaders here are on your side. Thank you for the Carpenters. Have a wonderful day.
Right on. Thank you for that. Thank you to Attorney General Rob Bonta. So our next speaker, I was told, is he doesn't need a lot of fanfare. But the other thing I was told was that he has our back, and he's someone who's always supported us. So I want to introduce Sergio Robles of Elk Grove City Council.
Good morning. So I'm motivated. Are you guys motivated? Oh, I got to hear you louder. Are you guys motivated? All right. But I'm also pissed. And if you guys aren't pissed either, are you guys pissed? Yes! But we're going to use that as motivation, right? Yeah! Because we're going to fight, right? Yeah! We're going to fight, right? Yeah! Oh, I feel like I'm at church right now. I'm sorry, but I feel like I'm at church. But before I even continue, Jesús, disculpa que nuestro estado no estuvo ahí con usted. Disculpa que nuestra ciudad no estuvo ahí con usted. Disculpa, pero por eso estamos aquí para pelear y para luchar y para ganar. So what I said is, I apologize for the state, for the city, for the county for not being there for him. But we are here to fight. Every one of us are going to fight here. When I see this, I see a military, an army, a union, a brotherhood, a sisterhood. I see people, and we're here to fight for people. We're here to fight against the bad actors that have been stealing money from us. So I'll end it with this. When we fight! We win! Yeah, let's go.
How about that? Come on. Let's thank all of our speakers again. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank all my sisters and brothers at the NorCal Carpenters, all of our speakers. We're so determined to change the way this law is treated, to get people convicted criminally. We're going to continue to fight. We're not going to stop until we see these criminals. They are serial criminals. They steal over and over and over again. And once we see them behind bars, we will finally have that deterrent we need to start helping working people get the money they earned. They earned that money. They worked for it. It should go into their bank account. They should be able to do whatever they want with it. It's their money. So I want to thank everyone. On behalf of the NorCal Carpenters Union, we're going to stop tax fraud. And everyone, stay up here because we're going to take a photo. I got told to say that. All right. Thank you, everyone.